just important that you do it. It also doesn't necessarily need to be you doing the communication, but it must be someone on your behalf. So maybe an employee or a trusted advisor, such as an accountant. Effective communication with the parties outside of your business can really help tip the balance in your favour. Your customers will tend to pay faster, and your suppliers will tend to be more flexible, which can really help you keep more cash in your business for longer. Now, as we all know, cash is king, and a good cash reserve is the best shock absorber that you could hope for. Now, I'll start with customers first. Now, because we're all so focused on our customers and trying to impress our customers and doing a good job, people can tend to be reluctant to chase up customers that are overdue. So it's really important to get that invoice out first. Invoicing is the most basic form of communication, so if you do it in a timely manner, you start the clock to make sure that you get money into the till. But what do you do before raising that invoice? If you have a clear credit policy, this will allow you to communicate mutual expectations up front and get rid of any issues before there are even issues. It also allows you to set terms, maybe set security conditions such as, do you have security over the supply that you've made? Now, it's an entirely big topic that I could talk about for quite some time at a separate time, but if you haven't heard of the Personal Property Security Act, I strongly encourage you after this seminar to find a trusted external advisor and have a chat to them about it, because it really has changed the way that business is done. Now, we've invoiced and maybe people are outside of terms with us now. It's really important to maybe change the way that you think about this in terms of following them up. Isn't you acting inappropriately with your customers or disrespecting them in any way, but it may be that you need to consider that they may be disrespecting you by not paying you for the valuable good or service that you provided. It's also really important to remember that the longer a debt remains outstanding, the more likely it is to become a bad debt and therefore irrecoverable. So getting on top of these debts while they're fresh, while they're new, will really help make sure that the cash comes in and you don't have any costly write-offs. A really good example of where communication is really important was a local electrical goods supplier that I was speaking to relatively recently. They provided a supply to a customer, and the customer was a full month overdue by the time I had this chat with them, well, shortly after anyway. The customer that this electrical supplier was dealing with, when they finally got around to calling them up and finding out what's going on, the customer treated invoices and statements not as a demand for payment, but merely as a notification of a debt that had accrued. And only after they actually got in touch and had a chat with them was that actually a due and payable debt. That's why it's really important to get in touch, have a chat with them, and that can help accelerate your payment into your business by weeks. Next up are suppliers. So if your business is a motor vehicle, our suppliers are our petrol stations. They let us keep moving forward. Now, it's important to know that people want to believe in the good of people, and therefore your suppliers will try to work with you as much as possible. Also, you're their customer. They want to make you happy in the same way you want to make your customers happy. So if you have good rapport with your suppliers, that they will want to have good rapport with you. Good communication with your suppliers can make sure that you have what you need when you need it. Many businesses will have experienced a spike in demand, or maybe a customer's placed an order that's a little bit novel, and therefore you need maybe some extra supply on hand or something that's a little bit different. If you have good rapport with your suppliers, they might be more willing to go that extra mile and help you out and get it to you, as opposed to maybe relying on the normal way that we do business and saying, oh, you know, sorry about that, you didn't order it in time, it's not going to make it. Having good rapport with your suppliers can also really help where maybe cash is a little bit tighter and you've had a couple of tight weeks. Having good rapport with your suppliers and communicating effectively with them can maybe help relax credit policies where they otherwise might have been really strict. Now, I've got an example of where communication with suppliers has really been quite effective, but maybe used for evil and not good. So I had a construction industry client that ended up in liquidation. As at the date of liquidation, the company owed approximately $8.5 million to its suppliers. Now, this company, even though it ended up in liquidation, managed to massage and communicate effectively with its suppliers for over a year, over 18 months, over 2 years, where people were still willing to work with them despite not getting paid. So it's a really good example, although admittedly not a great outcome, of where communication in a timely manner and an effective manner can get people to really work with you. Next up, we've got the ATO. So as our business is a vehicle, this is your registration. This is Queensland Main Roads. Effective communication with the ATO can help you get huge concessions. This can range from maybe a remission of a penalty where you've maybe accidentally lodged something a little bit late, to postponing due dates if you've otherwise been a good taxpayer and you just needed a little bit of extra time to be able to make the payment, to no action periods where they'll keep the clock running on the interest, but they won't specifically try and press for payment. We find that the ATO will generally operate in favour of the taxpayer unless you give them a reason not to. And stopping communication and not communicating effectively with the ATO is a really good reason for the ATO to not operate in your favour. Accountants such as BDO are really well versed at dealing with the ATO, and using an accountant can help you get automatic extensions to timeframes for lodgement and payment of debts, which again can help keep that cash in your business for longer and help you keep that shock absorber nice and well stocked. Now, I've got two examples of where working with the ATO has good outcomes and bad outcomes. Firstly, the good outcome. So we had a chain retailer that, again, unfortunately entered liquidation. But prior to this, they had tax liability issues with the ATO for over 2 years. And every lodgement, that debt climbed higher and higher. Because the company so effectively communicated with the ATO through their accountant, the ATO provided payment plan after payment plan after payment plan to this company, even after the director of the company had expressly conceded that the company could not pay its debts when they fell due. So this allowed the company a lot of time to try and work out its problems that wouldn't have been available if the company hadn't communicated effectively. The second example is where we've had a bad outcome due to poor communication. So we had a plumber who, due to his personal circumstances, fell hundreds of thousands of dollars in arrears to the ATO, which was only realised because he hadn't lodged tax returns, and when he finally did, boom, big debt. He worked with the ATO, communicated really effectively through his accountant directly himself for over 18 months before finally going dark on the ATO, stopped talking to the ATO, really stopped communicating at all, which left the ATO with no recourse other than to push all the way through to this plumber's ultimate bankruptcy. So again, good outcomes where you communicate effectively, bad outcomes where you don't. The final external group that I want to talk about today is communicating with the banks. So if our business is this motor vehicle, this is your car financier. A good accountant with a strong reputation with the bank can help communicate really effectively with the banks. We at BDO speak fluent bankese, and that can help you get what you want. So, that might be anything from new finance to refinancing existing finance that you've got, maybe all the way through to amnesties where maybe cash is a little bit tight and you need the bank to work with you for a bit. We undertake regularly business reviews and investigations on behalf of the banks, which can really help lead to some positive outcomes. For example, we've got a tourism client up here in Cairns. We undertook a really comprehensive business review, which involved review of the collateral available and development of projections over 5 and 10 years, which managed to get the bank on side with a new project, which was worth tens of millions of dollars. We find that generally when the banks are pressed, they do have a lot of heart, despite the fact that, maybe that's not the common perception. So where times are tough and where people are generally needing the banks to maybe help out a bit, we find that the banks will work with them far longer than maybe your average supplier will. And that's largely because of the reputational harm. A bank is really reputation conscious and they want to try and keep that as protected as possible. For example, we ended up being appointed as receivers over a pub up here in far north Queensland. Over the course of 12 months, maybe 18 months, the company had worked with this bank trying to get paid, and the bank was really patient with them. But then eventually the company stopped talking to the bank, stopped paying, and the bank was left with no alternative than to appoint us 2 or 3 weeks later. So really important that you work with the bank and communicate effectively with the bank, which may involve getting your accountant or trusted advisor involved. That's all that I have to talk about for the moment with regards of communicating external to the business. So I'm now going to pass across to Carolyn, who will talk about how to communicate effectively with the people inside your business, inside your motor vehicle.
Thanks very much, Dan. Do any of your employees have turn myself on now. Do any of your employees have the big picture of what your business is about? Or have they only seen certain pieces of the puzzle that is your business? Without having the big picture, your employees don't have the ability to provide you with valuable perspectives and ideas for change that you may not have considered. Do you have the confidence and trust in any of your current staff to be able to step up if you needed them to step in? If not, your business may not be able to absorb the various shocks that it will undoubtedly face. Changing economic conditions, changing environmental requirements, and that leave you plan for the long-deserved holiday with your family. You as a business owner need to step out for a break to clear your head and recharge your batteries. You may think that John will be able to handle the technology and operations aspect of the business. You also see Sally as being able to look after your customers. You could get your accountant to handle the payroll, the super payments, the BAS lodgements, and all of that other record keeping. But who will you add as a bank authority? Who will collect your debtors? Sally doesn't like to ask for payment. Who will handle all those other day-to-day things that keep you so busy that you haven't had time to take time out with your family for a holiday? You may have the plan in your head, and we'll talk about planning a little bit later, but have you shared this with your key employees, your external advisors? You will find that most people are happy to help with the day-to-day requirements of keeping the business going the way it's always gone, but they need to know what you expect from them. You need to tell them. Do you want to keep doing business as you have always done it? Is this enough? Or do you want more for your business? If so, you need to tap into the ideas and commitments of your employees and, of course, your external advisors like BDO. Recognizing the need to do things differently than you've always done is the first step in building resilience. Starting to think about what you can do differently is an excellent opportunity to start your conversations with key employees. You can share the appreciation that you have for the contributions they make and the value that they add to your business. You can discuss your interest in providing them with opportunities to grow and develop their skills in ways that suit them. These conversations will also help you get a better understanding of what it is that drives each of your key employees to do their best for you and deliver results for you every day. Recognition and opportunities for personal growth and development are key drivers for increasing your employees' engagement in your business. Tailoring recognition, rewards, and opportunities to meet the needs of each employee has a powerful effect on retention. Highly engaged people do better work and deliver better results. These key employees are vital to the resilience of your business. So now let's fast forward a year. John is asked to speak to you. He's been offered an opportunity to buy into an established growing business in Tahiti, an opportunity of a lifetime, he says. He thanks you for the opportunities that you've provided him, but he needs to take this next step. Of course, you wish him well. It would be also a good idea to organize a send-off for him to say thank you and acknowledge the contributions that he has made. This speaks volumes to the people who remain. Key employees are valuable, but they can also provide a source of risk for the business. People will leave. That's life. Let's face it, no one is indispensable, not even you. What steps can you take to make sure this is just a speed bump for your business, not a multi-vehicle crash? Consider cross-training your employees so you have backups for key functions. Documenting the key policies and procedures for your business will make it so much easier for someone else to step in and fill the gap. That person might be an existing employee, or you might need to call on temporary support from outside the business. There are options to help you through this, but you need to start to think this through now so that you're better prepared for the next time, and you know there will be a next time. By recognizing contributions made to the business, providing rewards, incentives for employees who are willing to commit to your business, you are building employee engagement and, dare I say, loyalty. Providing opportunities for your employee to develop in a way that meets their needs as well as yours is evidence of your ongoing commitment to them. Do you need to think about offering other opportunities to employees who demonstrate their commitment to your business? Look at your compensation packages. Is there room for things like bonuses, other incentives, business ownership? If you have not considered these before and need more information, now is the time to start the process. Discuss the specifics concerning compensation packages with qualified advisors. CCIQ and BDO are here if you need some help. If after talking with your existing employees, do you see a gap between what they can contribute and what your business needs? What are your options? Can you develop existing people? This will clearly demonstrate your interest in them and their future. Development of career paths for your existing employees is another driver of employee engagement. Engaged employees make your business more resilient. If you do not see that you can develop existing employees to fill your requirements, you will need to explain this to them. This could be a difficult conversation, but it needs to be done for everyone's sake. No sense in creating false expectations for anyone. Once these conversations are behind you, you will need to start the process of external recruiting. This deserves your time, your energy, and your focus. It is an important step in building resilience. Although it may seem expensive, the use of a recruitment professional is, in my experience, money well spent. Communication is critical. Make sure you clearly set the requirements for the recruit, including skills, knowledge, experience, and cultural perspective. New people bring new and unbiased perspectives that will help you with the changes you want to make. When you have found that right person, the next hard step is actually bringing them into the day-to-day environment of your business. You don't need to reinvent the steering wheel for this. CCIQ can help with the onboarding process. Keep the lines of communication open between you, your existing employees, and the new person. Check in with them regularly. You want to know what's going on with your people. Your increased and improved communication with the people key to your business, your customers, employees, suppliers, and the bank, provides better shock absorption for the day-to-day operation of your business. The ride is now so comfortable you can look at a longer journey. Where are you going to go? What business direction are you going to take? You need to start doing some planning for your ongoing journey. Where do you want your business to be in 3 to 5 years? If you can't answer this question, your business may not be viable in 3 to 5 years. A practical set of plans is another set of shock absorbers for your business. As discussed earlier, when you have people with the knowledge and confidence to keep the business running smoothly, you will be able to take some time out of the day-to-day business to do some serious future planning. So who will you include in your planning team? Consider including some of your key employees. They will see things differently than you do, and that will be valuable. Your employees' commitment to implementing the plans will be much higher if they've been involved in the development in the first place. Consider your existing network of advisors, your accountant, your solicitor. They know where you have come from and have specialist expertise. You know them and respect their views. Consider whether you will need new specialist support, marketing, regulatory, import-export. These people can join your team as required. Can you source the experts you need through your existing contacts? If not, have a look at CCIQ's new Expert on Demand resource. You could find what you need there. The right people on your team with the right connections will give you the greatest chance of success. For example, we at BDO have a client who was looking to expand their sales. They had already grabbed the domestic market and moved into some other complicated international markets, including China, South America, and the US. They saw opportunities in Iran. There were considerable regulatory and banking hurdles to expanding into Iran. By including BDO in their team, they were able to access our worldwide network as well as local country expertise and understanding to ensure that if there was a solution to be found to overcome these hurdles, we would find it for them. So how will you and your team get started? Some teams I've worked with find that a thorough debrief of the current business provides a useful starting point. A formal debrief is the documented discussion amongst the participants to address these 4 simple questions. What did we plan to do? What has actually happened? What has gone well? What do we need to do differently or better on a go-forward basis? To work effectively, the debrief process needs commitment to open and honest communication and a high level of trust amongst all participants. You as the business owner need to set the right tone for the group. Think about whether you need someone independent to facilitate this process. A facilitator can help you stay independent and bring out the best input from you and the other participants. In my experience, these 4 simple questions are very thought-provoking. They will raise issues about your internal environment and the external world in which you operate. Be careful that you focus on the issues you can influence or control. These are the areas where you will see the benefits and rewards. Now that you have a better understanding where you've been and where you want to get to, it's time to start plotting the course that you need to take to reach your desired destination. Goals and actions are the equivalent of a roadmap. What kinds of information do you want from a roadmap? Well, you'd want to know that you're looking at a current map rather than one drafted in 1900. You'd want a clearly marked destination. You'd want description of landmarks, check-in points along the route you're taking, places to stop for fuel, food, accommodation. How far is it from point A to point B? What kind of road service will you be traveling on? Are there alternative routes to where you're going? And oh, by the way, where is the roadworks and other obstacles that you're likely to encounter? You want to be considering all of these as you start to set your business goals and actions. There is usually more than one way to get to where you want to be. Consider each alternative, weigh up the benefits and risks of each. Select the one that has the most benefits and the fewest risks. That sounds pretty obvious. But don't throw the others away. They may come in handy if circumstances and environment changes, which, of course, they most likely will. How do you find out about what's going on in the world around you? Just like on the family road trip, accurate, current information on what is happening in the world of your business is essential. You need to have access to the best information about the world in which your business operates so that you know how to steer through the uncertainties that are inevitable. Determining whether the information you are getting is reliable and accurate can be difficult. Industry associations, CCIQ, your trusted business advisors, government agencies, customers, suppliers, your employees, all of these people will generally provide you with reliable information if they can. Consistent information from multiple sources will usually indicate reliability, accuracy, and plausibility. But you need to be careful not to automatically discount that information that comes out of left field. This may be the first harbinger of changes afoot, that canary in the coal mine. Make sure that you share the intelligence that you gather with your planning team. They need to know. As the entrepreneur that you are, you will see opportunities in the intelligence that you've collected. How do you sift through those opportunities and decide on the ones that are right for you to chase. This is a huge topic, one for a separate webinar. Let me just say now that it's unlikely that you can do this very well in isolation with only your existing resources. You will need extra help to progress your ideas. While your ideas may be unique, the process of bringing them to market is not. There are people who specialize in this. Some examples include Business Queensland, mentoring for innovation, BDO for advice concerning incentives and grants, intellectual property specialists. Getting the right advice and assistance from the start will give you a better chance of success. Opportunities are fun to work on, even if they are hard work. Risk management, on the other hand, is just hard work, not so much fun. But for your business to be resilient, you need to pay equal attention to both the opportunities and the risks. If you don't have plans and strategies to manage the risks faced, you may find yourself driving into that tree rather than driving around it. How do you identify and manage the risks that your business faces daily? Are you an ostrich or are you an owl? Do you have processes to ensure that dynamic risk assessments are done and documented regularly? I have been called a handbrake before because I see the risks and downside first. Someone needs to. If you prefer not to do that yourself, find someone in your team who can do this for you. Risk areas that might impact your business could include the safety of your staff, your customers, your visitors. What procedures do you have in place to prevent accidents? Don't wait for a work cover claim or a lawsuit. It seems today that no computer systems are hack-proof. What can you do to minimize the risk and recover important data if the worst happens? Queensland is a flood and cyclone-prone region. You need a disaster preparation recovery plan for your business, just like for your family. There's lots of information about this planning on the web. Check it out now while the weather's fine. What happens if you have to step out of the business due to serious illness, yours or that of your family member? How will you meet the financial requirements for you and your family? Do you have the appropriate insurances? Keyman insurance to provide funds for the ongoing operation of the business, or income protection insurance for your personal loss of income? Can your business continue to pay your regular wage while you are away? If you have capable people managing your business, that could be right. If not, what then? You will need to speak to your advisors to find out what options will be available for you and your family and update your financial plan as required. So, you and your team have done some excellent work over the past weeks. You have your plan. You have the goals and actions that you think will move you where you want to go. Now what? You and your people have invested far too much time and energy to let your plans sit on the shelf and collect dust. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Caroline. Just like when driving, we need to make sure that we've got a good dashboard that lets us know how we're performing. How fast are we moving? Can we actually see where we're going? What indications do we need to give, and to whom do we need to give them? A good dashboard relies on a good system, and just like with any system, junk in creates junk on the way out. Therefore, as Caroline correctly pointed out, your information sources need to be reliable. Now, there are plenty of really good systems that are available to be dropped straight into your business, and from a financial perspective, accounting suites such as Xero, Mild, and Reckon can be huge time savers and have built-in processes that will allow you to save time and improve the quality of information that you can use, all for a very affordable price. Any good accountant or bookkeeper can help you get set up with any such suite and can help you get working with them in an expert way quickly. For example, I was dealing with a food retail business in Cairns. The business owner relied on Excel spreadsheets as he didn't really trust or understand accounting suites and thought that they were all going to be too expensive. As a result, he relied also on an accountant plus a bookkeeper for their quarterly BAS and business information requirements. We at BDO met with this business owner, showed him how Xero worked, and now he does his own quarterly BAS lodgements and has valuable reporting at his fingertips. As a consequence, he no longer needs a bookkeeper, and as a further consequence, saves thousands of dollars per year. So, assuming that we've got this really good system set up that's providing us with high quality information, we can create budgets. Budgets are our most basic form of planning, but just creating a budget isn't enough. We need to actually review these budgets against actuals. Once we do that, we'll find that variances pop up. No one's got a crystal ball, so no one can budget perfectly. Now, a variance isn't necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, it just is. What's important is that you analyze that variance to understand why it exists. Did you change suppliers and therefore your costs have come down? Or maybe the market slowed down so your revenues have dropped. As long as you have a proper understanding of the variance, you'll be able to actually go forward. These variances are often the first tangible signs of an opportunity that might be beginning to present itself or a threat that's just on its way. For example, I helped a league club in central Queensland. Budgets were created by these businesses, but they never checked it against actuals. Performance in this league's club was starting to decline and they just chalked it up to the wider economy. The town was starting to slow down and therefore they thought it reasonable that they were slowing down as well. What actually was going on though was that the duty manager was stealing money, and it turned out to be over the course of months that this guy stole tens of thousands of dollars, which almost crippled the business by the time we became involved. This all could have been prevented, or if not wholly prevented, the damage from it minimised if they had undertaken proper budgeting and reviewing the budget against actuals and investigating the variances. As a consequence, these budgeting intervals need to be regular, and the more budgets you need to do will depend on what's going on. At times of uncertainty, or maybe when performance is down, you'll need to budget a lot more often. I'm a big fan of the saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, but I think it should really be, when the going gets tough, the tough get budgeting. Having a good system in place to provide you with meaningful information can make this budgeting and reviewing process a lot easier. Of course, budgeting and reviewing requires not only good communication with the people in your business to actually enforce the budget, but it also requires self-discipline. Now, I've always been a big fan of the idea of having someone to help keep you accountable, and having an external party to your business can really help you do so. Now, that might be a family friend, or it could very well be a trusted advisor, such as your accountant, who will help keep you on track and keep you accountable. While you're budgeting and while you're looking at these variances, it's important to build in contingencies. The grand question, what if? What if costs go up? What if revenues come down? Building these what ifs will let you see what will happen in the event that bad things happen. If you know what will happen when bad things happen, you can plan for it. And this helps develop shock absorbers into your business to help you. If you have to hit the pothole, maybe you're only clipping it a little bit as opposed to driving straight into it. It's also important to watch the outside world. If your competitors are moving, why is that? Are they trying to get away from you because you're doing an absolutely brilliant job in the space? Or are they seeing an opportunity that you're missing out on? Finally, are they seeing a brick wall that you're about to crash into? Your competitors will be a great source of information and should be closely monitored. This whole process also requires honesty with yourself. If you're not great at monitoring and developing budgets and holding yourself to them, you need to get help from someone that is good at that. Now, that might be someone inside your business, or again, it might be someone outside of it. Now, Richard Branson is a very successful businessman, as we all know, but he knows his limits. He knows he's better at creating valuable ideas than maybe running them, so he gets appropriate people in to do so. So therefore, it's really important to remember that if you can see potholes through this monitoring budgeting process, you can avoid them. If you know that the main road to your destination is congested and maybe slow, you can plan to take an alternate route. But you'll never be able to see a pothole or understand traffic conditions if you're driving with a blindfold on. I'll now pass across to Anne, who will help you cash out once you've done a great job of your business.
Thanks very much, Ben. Before I begin, we've had a few questions come through, which we'll take at the end, but please, if you've got anything in mind, pop those in the chat box and we'll get to them in a few minutes. Right, so you've been working really hard in your business, and now comes the exciting part. You've packed your car, charted a course on your roadmap, adjusted your course to avoid major hazards, hit a few speed bumps along the way at full speed, but your shock absorbers got you through that. Now what? Well, hopefully you are sitting on a huge pile of cash, celebrating your success and planning a course for continuation and growth of these profits for the future. There is no point working so hard in your business without rewarding yourself along the way. There are many options for taking cash or profits out of your business. Some of these include paying a dividend to shareholders, making a trust distribution, borrowing funds from your business, paying yourself a wage or a bonus, and making a contribution to your superannuation account. Whilst all of these methods are possibilities for rewarding yourself for the success of your business, each has its own benefits and pitfalls. You would need to speak with your trusted advisor to see which methods best suit your personal circumstances. If they are not in a position to assist you, our people at BDO are certainly ready and willing to help you work through the process. As we're now nearing the end of our webinar, I feel we've covered a lot of things today and it may seem a little daunting to you. Where to next? With the new financial year approaching, now is the perfect time to implement some of the strategies we have worked through today. Reflect on your achievements so far and start looking to the year ahead. Build your trusted team. Set goals for the future and continually monitor your business progress. If you need assistance with any steps along the way and find yourself at a loss, pick up the phone and call BDO. That takes us to the end of our webinar. I'd encourage you to take a look at what CCIQ members have on offer. Essentially, they've set up the new Expert on Demand. As part of your CCIQ membership, you are entitled to free consultation with our BDO experts by following the link on our last slide. You'll receive a copy of the slides at the after the conclusion of this webinar. We encourage you to make contact and let us help you and your business, whatever stage of the business life cycle you're at. I'll now hand over to Amy, who may have had a few questions come through the chat box.
Thank you, Anne. I sure have. Before I get to them though, thank you so much to all our presenters today for what was a really excellent session. I do have some questions here. So I've got one from Sarah who's asking, I'm just starting out in my business and I have no staff. Where do I start?
So I might take that one today, Amy. Thanks, Sarah, for joining us and listening in. Great question. As I said, it may seem a little daunting, but what you do at the start will dictate the outcome. So it's the beginning of the financial year. Your business is new. Now's the perfect time to get people in to help you. As we said, don't be afraid to ask. Use your existing network, any business mentors you may have. Also include your trusted advisors. I think that's a good place to begin if you're finding yourself a little overwhelmed.
Great advice. Thanks, Anne. I've got another one here that says, I have a budget and I've identified a variance, but I can't explain the reason. Sorry, this one's from Rob, by the way. And he wants to know, how do I do this?
I might field that one. Thanks for the question, Rob. So if you've got a variance, first of all, well done at identifying it. And if you don't understand why that variance is there, you've got to go to someone else. So it's going to probably help to find the person who actually deals with that process. So if that variance is something to do with, I don't know, let's say you're a manufacturer and it's a variance to do with materials cost, maybe go and talk to your employees who are actually working with these materials to find out what's going on. A supplier that's maybe less costly to buy the goods may potentially result in higher defect rates, or they need to do more work to the material to get it into a usable state. And that's something that someone who works on that job would be able to actually tell you. Alternatively, you can go outside of your business, so talking to family, friends, maybe someone else in the business community that you trust, or maybe finally an external expert such as someone like BDO, who does have a lot of experience with various industries and can probably help push you in the right direction with understanding that variance and then being able to work forward with it. So good luck with that variance and best of luck.
Thanks very much, Benjamin. Now, we do have a couple of questions here that I think are probably a little detailed, and I know BDO have indicated earlier they're happy to answer those really specific questions offline later today. So by all means, you can send through other questions confidentially, and they'll be able to give those responses to you in due course. But it is time for us to wrap up, unfortunately, for now. I would like to echo Anne's suggestion from earlier that if you are a CCIQ member, I highly encourage you to utilise our free Experts on Demand service. We're going to send a link around at the conclusion of this webinar that will also include, of course, a link to these slides and these contact details that you can see on your screen now. Don't be shy, get in touch with the team if they can do anything to help. Thank you again for joining, and I'd like to wish you a very happy end of financial year. Thank you.